Hi, I'm Punita here from Huawei Global Training Center, and today we're going to discuss about the content troubleshooting cell unavailable faults. So let's look into the cell unavailable faults. So the affected factors. So what caused the cell unavailable to be faulty? So the affected factors are transmission, hardware, configuration, and RF. And usually for this kind of cases, there will be an alarm reported and the alarm ID will be 29240, cell unavailable alarm. So let's look into the possible causes of the cell unavailable faults. So it could be due to the incorrect data configuration, abnormal transport resources, abnormal RF resources, limited capacity or capability, faulty hardware. So for the incorrect data configuration, let's look into the background information. For this case, the cell cannot be set up successfully if the cell parameter settings do not match the actual RF and baseband processing capability or other parameters. On the other hand, this incorrect data configuration usually leads to a failure in the setup of a cell, not in the running of a cell. So common incorrect data configuration contain incorrect cell power configuration, incorrect cell bandwidth configuration, incorrect cell network related configuration. So let's look into the first part of the incorrect data configuration. For the incorrect cell power configuration, the information are cell 1 and cell 2 are configured with cell band 20 MHz, reference signal power 17 dBm and PB is 1. So they have one PBU here with a RRU 3628, and this RRU for the antenna port, the output power is given 60 watts. They have set 60 watts here. So each cell will be getting 30 watts of cell transmit power. However, when we check back the actual technical spec of RRU 3628, the output power is 2 by 40 watts. So this indicates that this is a wrong configuration already because it's 40 watts. So how can we modify this and how we can check this configuration? So we can go to PDSCH configuration and we can modify the reference power from there. So these are the two important commands. So let's look into this. So from the left, when we go to MML command, we can list PDSCH configuration to check the cell information. For this case, the PDSCH configuration is not configured, but we can also try to edit. We can also try to modify it if there is a configuration. So what are the information we can find from the PDSCH configuration? So basically, we will enter the cell information, reference signal, PB information, and reference signal power margin. So there is also channel power and other cell power limit that we might be configuring here. So this is considered an important parameter that related to the cell transmit power. So let's look into incorrect cell bandwidth configuration. For the incorrect cell bandwidth configuration, the cell configuration band is 2. The EARFCN, the frequency channel number is 1199. So about the hardware, they have configured one cell with 2T2R. The bandwidth is 20 MHz. They are using RRU 3628 with 1 BBU. So this is the range of the frequency 1970 to 1990. So this is the uplink, and 2110 to 2170 should be the downlink channel. So for the specification of band 1, the downlink should be within the range of 2110 and 2170. So we have to also refer to the technical spec. So what kind of command that could be related to this cell bandwidth, we can check from list cell and modify list cell in case the bandwidth is wrongly configured. So let's go to the lab. So we can try to list the cell to check what are the bandwidths are configured. And also we can modify it if the bandwidth is wrong. So over here, the cell parameters are not configured. So if in case the parameters are configured, you can able to modify that. So let's look into the command that is related to the modify cell. So for modify cell, we have to insert the local cell ID. So for the bandwidth, once we have configured the frequency band, we might also need to fill up the frequency channel number for downlink and uplink. And this will be the bandwidth up to 20 megahertz. So basically for modifying the cell bandwidth, we have to refer to the modify cell command. We will add the frequency band here accordingly. And we will need to enter the bandwidth for uplink and downlink over here. So let's say this is 2110. This is supposed to be 1970. So the range should be within the band 1 technical spec. Next, let's look into the incorrect cell network related configuration. For this is more related to the actual topology. So example, the RRU hardware installation is chain topology. Okay, the one they have installed here is chain topology. It could be actually supposed to be a star topology instead. So the site and the remote are not the same. So the actual site, the hardware installation should be on site. Data configuration is actually related to the software. So basically the hardware and the software need to match. In this case, they are actually the wrong topology. Hardware, they are using chain, but in the configuration, you have added at star. So this is a wrong configuration of the topology. So it could impact on the, it is related to the network related configuration. So let's look into the second reason for the cell unavailable fault. The second reason will be abnormal transport resources. So the fault description about this content is that if the cell is unavailable, it could be caused by the abnormal transport resource. So usually a message will be displayed after you execute activate cell or display cell. So what kind of message you can view here? Abnormal S1 link state for a cell. So the possible causes could be related to S1 interface or SCTP link which is broken. So this could impact on the signaling level between the E node B and the MME. So let's look into the display cell or activate cell command. So for the display cell, usually it will display the cell information. Okay, so this is display cell, and we also have the command activate cell. So activate cell, you need to have the cell configuration, and from there you can activate the cell. So these are the command will determine, you're able to check the abnormal transport resource, and it will acknowledge the issue from this command as well. So that is a case here for abnormal transport resources. So the fault description is that a cell failed to be activated. In the command output, the value reason for the latest state of the change was S1 link is down. So what they have observed from the fault diagnosis, cell failed to be activated because S1 link is down, but there is no related alarms reported. So they just realized the problem when they try to activate the cell. So what could be the possible causes? So the possible causes could be related to SCTP link is abnormal. So we can display SCTP link and view the status. S1 interface is abnormal. We can view the S1 interface and we can view the abnormalities. But in this case, they found out there is no configuration for S1 interface. So let's try to check on this command from the lab. So first we will go through the display SCTP link. So basically, this base station is trying to establish an OM channel. So probably this particular command is not available. We can also check the S1 interface. So display S1 interface. So at the moment, we can see that there is an abnormality here. So the S1 interface is configured. It's configured, but however, at the moment, the interface state is abnormal. So this indicates there is a transport related issue and there is an interface fault here as well, SCTP link failure. So this is how we can identify the issue. And we have to troubleshoot accordingly. So next will be related to abnormal RF resources. So for abnormal RF resources, there are few categories that we have to look into the abnormality of the RF resources. So we start with the LBBP board. Over here, they are using LBBP board as the baseband board. So the CPRI port line not negotiation. So this is actually the first case. For the second part, the RRU status is abnormal. For the third part, CPRI links is abnormal, the fiber optics. Fourth case here, RRU networking is inconsistent. So these four scenarios could lead to abnormal RF resources. So Q&A session. The MML reference power configuration, reference for power configuration is set PDSCH configuration. True or false? The answer is no. So this is not the actual command. For number 2, incorrect data configuration usually leads to failure in the setup of a cell, not in the running of a cell. The answer is yes. So the summary for this section, troubleshooting cell unavailable faults. So over here we discuss about cell unavailable faults that could be due to incorrect data configuration, abnormal transport resources, and abnormal RF resources. That's all from me. Hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you. Bye.